Are they bad for your hair or is it your stylist? So it's been a controversial topic. However, we have gotten some really great points out of it. Before we start this evening, I'll give the panel a moment to say hello to you all. Let's start with Dr. Pam Hill.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk About It. I am Dr. Pamela Hill from Fredericksburg. I am your board certified trichologist, hair loss specialist, located in the Fredericksburg, Virginia area.
Okay. And next we have Miss Shanae Starnes.
All right, well, good evening. Excited to be back. I'm Shanae Starnes. I'm also a board certified trichologist, as well as a holistic health practitioner. And I'm here to support the team as we help educate the people. I'm out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and excited to be here.
And next, Miss Marguerite Moulton.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marguerite Moat, and I'm in your Fredericksburg, Virginia area. I am your certified hair loss specialist. I'm here to be able to help you with your hair care needs.
All right, and before we move forward, I'll just give a brief introduction of myself. I am Dr. Rashawn Burnex here in the Washington, D.C. area. I am your area non-surgical hair loss replacement specialist, wig and weave specialist, everything hair extensions, all that falls under my belt. I love it, and that's why we have this topic. So continuing on with our the great information we were able to pass on in the past 2 weeks, we'll pick right back up. The next topic that I wanted to bring was talking about the quality of the wigs and weaves that people get. You know, the quality of the hair and the products that are used to construct, as well as the quality of the products that we purchase. So does anybody want to start off with that one and talk about the importance of that?
I'll start off.
Anybody can jump right in tonight.
All right, I'll start off. So someone that is building their practice around servicing women with scalp conditions such as eczema, seborrheic dermatitis, and psoriasis, one of the things that I want to say is one of the causes of an inflamed scalp is the quality of the hair that's purchased. Sometimes people are allergic to those things. So, you know, still thinking about doing a test strand for your client is very important. And see, a client wouldn't normally know that. This is why it's important to seek a professional, because now we're talking about that conversation of scalp care. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to the forefront, that that's something to think about as we go out and we pick our hair attachments, our hair additions. We want to think about that, because we're not just covering up scalp maladies. We are still wanting to have that mindset of keeping a nice, clean, healthy scalp and still look good at the same time.
Okay. And so I think that you brought out a really good point when you said the strand test, you know. So some people may not be familiar with what that is, because I'll say in my salon experience, we rarely do a lot of those tests anymore because they do take time. It's asking a client, maybe even a walk-in client, it's asking them to come in, but come back 2 days later or the next day, you know. And most people are like, I came to get my hair done today. I'm not trying to come back tomorrow after you do some kind of test. I'm going to go to the salon next door. So tell us a little bit about what a strand test is.
Sure. So, yeah. So, you know, when I think about strand tests, and you really hear it a lot when it comes to getting color done. But I think that if it's not something that's practiced right now, let's bring that back from the professional standpoint, because we're the ones that are going to attach the hair. And if your salon or if your practice is of integrity and you're trying to take your business to the next level, implementing what others don't do will be something that'll set you aside, and educating your client at the same time. Because again, I would never forget my friend who wore weave tracks all the time, and I would never forget when she said that the stylist turned her around to the mirror and she was like, all of her hair was gone. And at that point, not knowing exactly what it was, but she learned that she had psoriasis. So, you know, thinking back to that circumstance is what makes me want to be an advocate for this conversation when it deals with the quality of hair, because I think we think that the more we pay, the better the quality, but really we need to test it. And this is why a lot of people, a lot of stylists, they are shampooing it. They are doing the apple cider rinses because we're getting hip to that. So finding that stylist that is in tune to doing strand tests, being aware, and simply by, simply testing it by cleaning it, that, just a nice cleanse would be helpful, because it would be a little hard to do a strand test per se, but we can simply dip that and clean off, and we'll see all the extras that'll fall off, that'll safeguard your client.
Right. Pam, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
I agree with what you're saying. And as far as the strand test, even with when I do weaves or color, I would never have someone walk in off the street, and I've never serviced them and actually do a service like that. And that's for a number of reasons, because, clients can tell you anything. And actually, before I do any type of color service or weave service, you have to come to me so I can at least treat your hair at least twice. So that way I can see how your hair is going to do when it's wet, because it's different when it's wet than when it's dry, or, what's actually how much buildup you have on it. So I need to know all this, if it's going to hold the moisture, if you actually really good to get a weave or a protective style. Right. So that's what I'm doing first. So that strand test going again with the consultation, we're going to have a sit down and let you know that, okay, you can't get this weave right now, even though that you had actually, came in and like, okay, I didn't pay $400, $500 for this hair, and I need it done today. I can't go nowhere else. I need it done today. I'm flying out of town. It's always some things, but that's when it comes to you being a professional. Yeah. And, you have to sit that client down. It's like, okay, well, I don't recommend that you do this. You can do what you want to do, but I won't do it, for you. I turn the client away quick before I do that.
That's an important point, because that's where I am. When I as you were talking, Shanae, and then further listening to Pam, thinking about my clients, that's one of the things that I tell them. Number one, I have eliminated a lot of problems in my business by not taking walk-ins. They have to book an appointment. Yes. Very rarely are you able to walk into a doctor's office, right?
Right.
And because I am setting up myself to really be able to service people on that clinical level, I can't allow you just to walk in, because I'm not prepared.
That's right.
I want to be totally prepared when you walk in. And the same thing when we get these weave services.
Same thing.
Or when you call me and say, hey, I want a wig, I need to do that thorough consultation. Like you said, Pam, I need to make sure that your hair and scalp are really prepared for what we're going to do. Can it withstand what it's going to take to attach this piece to your head? What method am I going to have to use? And so that's one of the things that I wanted to segue into this week, was talking about various attachment methods, because when I looked at some of these questions, and we'll run through them a little later, there was pretty much like 5 main questions that people wanted to know in terms of what should I do, or what should I ask my stylist when I come in to get a weave, right? And so most of these things, I don't know if I would just walk in and say, I'm ready to get a weave, but let me ask you. These are questions that I might call and say, okay, I am interested. Do you have a moment so that I can ask you some questions? Or can I book a consultation so that I can ask you some questions before I, like you said, Pam, I need to get this done because I'm running out of town. Because we know that, unfortunately, that's when things happen a lot of times. When you rush to get a service done, and then you're gone, and you're outside of your normal element, right? You're traveling, you're on the beach in the sun, and the sun is wearing down, your hair, but you just got these fabulous blonde highlights, right? And so you're trying to figure out, why is my hair so brittle? Because the sun is beating that hair on. You are in a totally different element.
Right.
And that's when things tend to happen. So,
can I say something before you move
ma'am.
Further?
Yes.
Just listening to you all, that's a key element. I don't take walk-ins, period, because I do have to be prepared. Because I don't know what state your hair is in. And I think as a professional, we need to be better prepared for our clients. And you know what? I think it has transitioned over the years where people, oh, I take walk-ins, you just come on in, whatever. Because a lot of times I have ran into major problems doing that. And I have not been prepared for what came through the door. Opposed to me allowing them to come in and we do a proper consultation. And I'm prepared to at least get them ready if they can wear a weave. Good example, I had a client. She came in. I hadn't seen her over some years. But during the time that I remembered her hair was like really thick and beautiful, right? Well, she came in for what she called a protective style. When she came in, there was no way in the world I could have done it because the hair was in a fragile state. And it was so damaged until I had to explain to her why. Now, flip side of that, she has the opportunity to go anywhere she wants to, professionals. But you've got to have some integrity of how you're going to run your business. You have to set the standards of who's going to come in and what you're going to do for them. If I just jump at everything that comes in, I'm going to tear my business up. Okay? And I promise you I'm going to lose all credibility as a professional. So there is a such thing as no being an answer to. And there are times when you just have to say, well, you know, your hair is not ready for, and some of them will listen and some just won't. So you have to deal with that as it comes. So I kind of want to add that to it because that's important. Okay.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you. And I think Marguerite, she sent in some points, and one of her points kind of leads into that where she says, excuse me, let me go. Oh, I done lost it. Oh, okay, here it is. Why is it important to schedule regular appointments even though you now have the weave?
Yes.
So now we talked about the consultation or appointment before getting the install. It has now been installed, right? Why is it important to now that I come back to you to sit in your chair for however long after I always have this weave when I'm expecting that this thing is going to be on my head for a couple of weeks, right?
Right.
Why do I need to come back? Marguerite, you want to start off with that?
This is good.
I want to say that the reason why you come back in between while you got your installation in is because your scalps still needs to be cleansed. And then the professional needs to be able to pay attention to what's going on and what you might be doing outside of what was done at the beginning. And then it gives you a more opportunity, especially to pay attention to, because a lot of times when you get the weaves and people don't realize how much debris or oils and stuff you get when you having that weave, and then especially having it in for X amount of time and not shampooing. A lot of people think that, just like I said, a lot of people think that just because you get weaves, then that's it. I got my weave, I'm going on about my business until it's time to get it done again. No, they don't realize it has to be cleansed. It can be cleansed. That's one. And that's one point that we as professionals need to make sure that we giving our clients instructions on what to do, how to take care of the hair, what to use, what not to use when they're getting that services done.
Okay. And see, and I think the great thing that you touched on is what to use, right? So I want to go back because one question that often comes to me when I do a consultation is a lot of clients will ask me, well, what kind of hair should I buy?
Yeah.
And my question to them is, I need to know what you what do you need the hair to do, right?
Okay.
Because what I call low maintenance hair is usually your synthetics or your synthetic blends. If you're a high maintenance lady, you can handle human hair because your human hair is the hair that is going to need to be curled. It's going to be needed to be tended to as though it were hair growing from your head.
Absolutely.
The blend or the synthetic hair, it usually you can get it in a curl, and that curl will last you from the day you put it in to the day you take it out. It may get a little frizzy, may do a couple of other things, but it's still more or less going to give you a curl.
and then
that human hair needs a lot of tending to because you have to treat it as though it were your hair. And so that lends into what you were saying, Marguerite. You have to come in and get that hair shampooed. it needs to be conditioned the same way. It needs to be treated the same way you would treat your hair so that you can have it for the longevity.
Okay.
Don't
Yeah.
think that you're going to buy hair and you say, like Shanae, you said, oh, you spent $400 for this hair,
Yeah. Hmm.
and then you just put it in and you treat it like any
Like,
old mop that you just threw on your head. No, you have to
Right.
brush it. You have
yeah.
to tend to. You have to make sure you shampoo it because you want
Right.
to keep this hair up and protect your investment. We're not only protecting your hair, but we're going to protect your investment. And that's why, like Marguerite said, you need to come in and have that hair treated. Go ahead, Shanae.
And then, oh,
I want to just add to what you said real quick, because I hope that we are changing the narrative. This is not my area as far as hair additions, but I tell you what, we talked about 400, and that's maybe at a low end, the cost
Mhm.
that one will spend on just the hair alone. I think that the treatment plan for the scalp and the service plan for the maintenance of it should be just as much or even higher for the
Absolutely.
stylist to add
Mhm.
Absolutely.
with this hair. So if the hair is of whatever quality it is, it doesn't really matter, but we are servicing the scalp and we're servicing the health of the hair depending on the quality. So I wanted to impress upon the licensed professionals, like how to build our businesses, how to build our salons, and how to build our integrity and our brand, you
Mhm.
know, to be okay with getting your clients used to a maintenance plan. It's just like a car. Your car, you pay for your vehicle, and you get a maintenance plan to go with it, or a
Yes.
service plan to go
Yes.
with that. And so I wanted to just bring that into the conversation, because that is not only going to help your client, it's going to help you to maintain the integrity, the business, and the quality of the client that's really interested in investing in what you have in your offer. So I just wanted to add that on to what
That's
you were saying,
good.
Dr.
That
Clark.
is perfect. That was perfect
That was
to
I wanted
add.
to say one thing
I
too.
want,
Oh, hold
What you
on.
were saying,
Again,
why they
before you come in, let me hit Marguerite because she was trying to get in before she
okay.
came. Go ahead, Marguerite.
yes, thank you. I want to say, and the quality of the hair makes a difference in your activity.
Yes.
You know, sometimes people, you know, you got the business person, you got that person that works out regularly, you know, so you have to think about all of that when you're purchasing your hair
really
also.
Absolutely.
So
I think that's
I
a
just
great
want,
point because that definitely does lead
good.
Right.
into the type of hair that you're going to use as well as the quality of the hair. I
Yes.
have, clients that run the gamut. I have ones that believe wholeheartedly in the packaged hair from the beauty supply store, all the way to the ones who say I will never touch it because I only
Mhm.
want the hair that has been double drawn from the temple and blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff, right? And
Mhm.
so you have to be able to tell them which one is actually best for you.
Yeah,
What's going to
that's
work
true.
well with you. If you're a person that I know you barely take care of your natural hair and you kind
Yes.
of leave it up to me to deal with
Yes.
it, then I'm not going to suggest that you run out and spend $600 on hair that you're going to treat the same way and you're not going to come to me to help me maintain, right? You might, excuse me, you might need something on a little lower scale that is going to require less maintenance but work for your lifestyle. That's one of the things that I try to impress upon them. What is your lifestyle?
True.
Because that's going
Right.
to help me
True.
determine
True.
what I can offer, or what type of weave I can do,
True.
what is going to work for you. Same if
So
we were
true.
doing any other type of hair service. When we do that consultation, we want to know, do you work out? Are
Yeah.
you a person that, you don't do any type of exercise? If I do this style on your hair, is it going to sit there and be okay? Or is this something that's going to
Gonna be
fall
a
flat the
problem.
next day
Yeah.
because you're running, you are exercising, you're doing this, doing that, you have
Mhm.
5 children, you don't really have time to maintain a hairstyle. We need to know
Yes.
all those things. And I say the same thing when it comes down to weaves and wigs. It's all time based. I'm not going to tell you to get something that requires a heavy time investment for the upkeep of it if your lifestyle does not support that,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so then moving on to the next thing. Um, what would you guys say, or how would you determine? We touched upon this, but I thought it was important to bring it back so that people understand. How do you determine whether or not or not whether or not a person can get a weave, but what type of methods are used for installation? How do you determine that?
Can I
I,
answer?
Yes, come on, doctor.
I'm gonna let you have it, Marguerite. Because Marguerite's on fire tonight. But I want to say this. I truly think it's based on the condition of that person's hair, their lifestyle. All that plays a major factor in that, because if the hair, like I said earlier, if the hair is in a fragile state, the method of me putting it on, some of my clients, I can't braid their hair, I can't cornroll their hair. Okay. And then there are some that I have to put it on without the braid. And that's when you do the uh, uh, double knots and stuff. But and it lays flat to the head. So it will be based upon that client's hair. And I'll tell you something else, Dr. B. It will be based on their health too, because I have clients that have had strokes. So certain areas you can't cornroll their hair. Okay. Especially if they're a person that have seizures and stuff like that. You have to be so careful on putting tension on yeah. So it plays, and this is why the professional we need to be educated enough to know. I mean, I thought doing hair, we can just do it and be done with it. But it's so much you have to learn in between that.
Yes.
Okay. So I would say it's based on the condition of that person's hair, whatever condition it's in. And it's also based on their health. Okay.
Okay. So the condition of the hair and the health of the hair, or in the health of the person,
Or
right?
the person as well. Yes.
Okay. So Marguerite, what did you have to bring into that?
well, I want to say this. I got two things I want to say. I want to say that yes, it's the condition of the hair. And one thing that I always recommend my clients to get a treatment and get the ends trimmed beforehand, period. Point blank, period, and doing a weave. And it determins on the style that they want. It's the braiding technique that I would use for installing a weave. It's the way that even when they wearing wigs, even when they want to wear wigs, it's the type of wig, the style of the wig is determined on how I would braid the hair. And I know that this is something I probably shared before in the previous class on the technique and why it's important for the technique to demonstrate the style of the hair. That makes a difference, because for one, like you said, Dr. Suzette, you wanted to be able to lay in a certain way, a certain pattern. And then another thing for me, I don't like to braid the same direction. I always try to braid in a different direction. If it's somebody that wears weaves all the time, I don't want to be able to pull that tension in the same direction all the time to be able to cause weakness to a certain area. And then I wanted to say, another thing I wanted to say was, this was I guess it's a question too, but it's a comment. Do you think that the type of stitching makes a difference, in your weaves? What do you guys have to say about the type of stitching that you use? Because sometimes people stitch and they have long stitching. Then sometimes people stitch and they have they go from the up to, yes, stitching. So how would you determine what's the best type of stitching for the type of weave that you're doing? I know I'm supposed to throw that question out there, but that was something I wanted to raise hand on.
No, I think that's a great question. Marguerite, she gonna drop the mic. No, I thought that was a great question, because your stitching method does make a difference. One of the things that I would suggest that people ask, and it may be, you have to ask it in a certain kind of way. And I'm saying from the client perspective, asking the stylist, I would say find out what type of education they have your stylist has in terms of doing whatever it is that you're asking them to do, right?
Absolutely.
Because we're living in the world of the YouTube, generation. Everybody goes to YouTube and they learn these different things. But I want to know, where did you get this education to be able to provide this service to me? And I think it's great that Marguerite brought that question up, because it made me think, for as long as I have been weaving and taking courses, I've done courses under a lot of different instructors. And the thing that I'm thankful about with most of them is they said our job, because weaves have such a notorious reputation for damaging hair, and doing all these things, we are trying to provide information that counters that. And so when it comes to your stitching, there is a way to stitch, and there's a reason why you stitch a certain way. I would say, like you mentioned, the long stitches, to me, that's what I call a quick sew in. It's going to be quick if I'm using those long stitches, right?
Yeah.
But that weave may not last as long.
That's right.
The client's hair. So if you have a client, like I do have a client that comes every month, I don't have to stitch her in my little half inch stitches that I may do. This other person who is a little rougher on their hair, they're heavy handed, and they brush their hair like this. They don't take their time. Those are things you have to take into account.
Yeah.
And so knowing why you're stitching in a certain way, like you said, do you stitch overhand or do you stitch under?
Under.
A lot of times that's up to preference. It's how well you move. Do you stitch from left to right or right to left? A lot of the classes that I took, they address those things, and they call those your preferences. Are you right-handed? It may be easier for you to stitch from the right side of a person's hair to the left. If you're left-handed, you're stitching from the left to the right. Depending on how you hold your needle may determine whether or not you go over the weft or under the weft, right? Do you use curved needles? Do you use J needles? Do you use straight needles? Right. All these things become your preferences and determine how well you're easily able to install the weave.
That's good.
But it's important to find out, I believe, what type of education the person may have. Absolutely. Are you going to somebody who just saw something that they, I can do that, and they want to try it on you? Yeah. Or are you going to someone that this is actually how they build their business?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I thought that was a great question.
That's good.
Marguerite. That was an excellent.
Dr. B, that's really good. But y'all, that's food for thought. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that for this reason. I don't know if y'all remember when they had these. I'm gonna step on somebody's toes, but okay. They had these weave shops out that was $50 for a weave.
Mm-hmm. I remember. Mm-hmm.
I had a friend to come to me to get the weave out. Mm-hmm. Those I had never in my life seen anyone put hair on that way. Mm-hmm. Those stitches was in there, so I couldn't find her hair. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find the thread. It's like they went in, they just start winding it up, and when I did take it out, we lost so much hair. The hair was intertwined into the thread. See, some people, and like Dr. B says, this is important, think because they see something, I can do that. I can do that, but no, there is a method to the madness. Right. And so when those shops came up, they kept me in business. Now, don't get me wrong, but I hated to see people come to me with those stitches because they were so difficult to take loose. Mm-hmm. Now, anytime you get a weave, tight don't make it right. Mm-hmm. Tight does not make it right. Mm-hmm. Tight is not right.
And
so I think people got that in their mind.
Say that one more time.
Tight don't make it right.
Tight does not
make it right.
Okay, just because you want your weave to
and so that's what we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
Oh no, I was just going to say,
No, but that's good though, baby.
To that point, tight does not make it right, because just because you say I spent some money on this weave and I wanted to stay in, that does not mean that is going to be the best for your hair, because sometimes Too tight is
No.
so wrong,
Yes,
especially
yes.
And
when
it's
you're
not meant to
already
stay
dealing.
in.
Right. When you're
It's not
already
meant to stay
dealing with
in.
issues, scalp issues, or hair breakage
You
issues,
sweat.
whatever type of issues you have, you are now adding something else to it.
But yes.
Piling on that issue, and you are further damaging the hair. And that is what we are absolutely trying not to do, which is
That's
the
it.
point to bring why we
There
raised
you
this
go.
topic. We want to
Exactly.
give you the information to empower you when you walk in and you ask for this service.
Yes.
These are the things that you should know in advance. These are the things so when your stylist starts stitching and something may not feel a little right, or like when we get braids and we sitting there, we're like, ooh, it's hurting, but these braids are going to look good. When they start braiding their hair and it's too tight, it's for you to say, excuse me, that's too tight. That's going to cause a lot of pull
Yes.
on my scalp. Do not let them tell you, oh, it's good. It'll be all right. Go home and put a warm rag on it. It'll loosen up.
Right.
No, no.
Alopecia.
You need to, yes, thank you. Say
And
it,
then, and then on top of that, if the braid is tight, and then you got to go in and stitch, you make it even tighter.
That's what I'm saying.
It's one
Traction
time.
alopecia.
Yes.
Exactly. Traction alopecia.
That part.
Right.
That part right there.
I think it's just we've provided a lot of information for people to really empower them to move forward, when they are getting these services. So as we get ready to close out, because our time goes by so quick, especially when we're having fun, and we have fun by helping others and giving them the information that they need. I just want to run through these 5 quick questions that people can ask their stylist when they go to get a weave or during their consultation session, or if they decide to call a salon and they're requesting a weave service. Number 1 is how do I prepare and protect my hair prior to coming to you for the service?
Wow, good,
Is there a
good.
particular way I need to prepare my hair before I come to you? Or when we get there, what are you going to do to prepare and protect my hair for this weave service?
Great.
Okay. Number 2, what are some of the absolute no-nos before getting a weave? Can I color my hair? Like Marguerite brought up the issue about chemical services. Should I color my hair? Should I relax my hair before I come in? What do I need to do? What are some absolute no-nos for things that I must not do before I come in? Number 3, what is the best installation method for my hair and its condition?
Good, good,
Okay?
good.
So you're letting them know that I'm aware of my hair as well as the condition that it's in. Are you aware of the condition that it's in? And what can you do, or what is the best method that you have to provide for installation? Now that might be something that you may have to do a little research on yourself. You may have to talk to more than one person, because if I'm a stylist and I only know one method, I'm gonna say, yeah, girl, this is the way. But if I talk to my local trichologist, Dr. Pam Hill, and she tells me, well, no, if you're getting a weave, I can't do it today,
Don't say no.
but this will be something that I would, this is how I would put it in. I would be aware of that information. So I need to know what is the best way for the hair condition that I have, or the condition of my hair.
That's good.
Number 4 is how do I maintain this beast once I get it in? Because a lot of times when you have this is your first time getting the weave, you have no idea of the work that it's going to take. The maintenance.
How to brush it or do anything.
Exactly. So like Marguerite said, you need to come up with your maintenance plan. Set up your appointments. For me personally, my weaves stay in no longer than 2 months. I do not allow it any longer than 2 months. You have 6 to 8 weeks to wear this thing, and then it must come out. But in between, every 2 weeks, you need to come in for your maintenance. So if you wear this weave for 8 weeks, that means you have 3 appointments in between.
Yes. Dr. B, before you got to say this again.
Okay.
You said something, a key point, but I want to make sure people hear what you just said. Now, you told us how long that weave can stay in, but you made a big point to say, but they also come in for maintenance.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So you're taking care of that scalp, that hair, everything is being treated by this professional while they're still wearing it. We're not talking about wearing it, and I don't see you until you ready to come back.
Right.
So I need you to say that one more time, okay?
So again, you're gonna wear this weave for a predetermined amount of time. For me, it's either 6 or 8 weeks, and you must come in between. Now, the key to that, this is to the stylist, right? If you say you're a newer stylist and you're afraid to tell your client that they need to come in, you're not as
Wow.
confident yet to
Yeah.
tell them that they need to come in. You tell them this. With this weave installation, it has a maintenance plan already with it. Okay. The maintenance plan is this. Now, what we can do today, we can add your maintenance plan in with today's payment, or we can bill you that separately according to the times that you come in. But the maintenance plan for the weave, since you want to keep it in 8 weeks, that means it has 3 maintenance services in between. The maintenance services are going to be X amount of dollars. You let them know all this information up front. So that way they have it in their mind. They know the investment that they're walking into.
Yes.
We're not going to blindside them with anything. We're going to let them know in advance so that they understand that, again, like we said last week, this is not no everyday service. In my book, everybody is not a candidate for a weave because a weave is a luxury service. The same thing with the wig. We have to understand that everything, just because it's available to us, may not be for us. We may not be yet ready for that type of investment. If you're not ready to invest in making sure that you maintain your hair underneath both of these things, your wig or your weave, then I would suggest you not venture into that. You continue with your regular styling until you're ready to fully take on the investment. It doesn't make sense to buy a Mercedes if you can't get the maintenance on it.
No,
right?
you better say that.
It doesn't make sense to buy your BMW if you can't.
You better say that.
So it's the same type of thing.
Your
You have
pinto.
to understand the full investment moving in or walking into it so that you make the best choices, right? Okay, so then we talked about number 5, should I buy human or synthetic hair? That's a big question, for a lot of people, especially if it's their first weave. They don't really know. Some people will say, well, everybody getting bundle hair. I want bundle hair. Baby, bundle hair may not be the best for you. You might need to start here, especially if you're not very familiar with taking care of it or your lifestyle does not lend to the maintenance that requires. Okay, so we're going to talk about all of that in our consultation service. And number 6, it was the same type of thing. Do you recommend bundle hair or packaged hair? Either which way you go, I believe you still have maintenance. One is less maintenance opposed to the other. But the point is you still have to come in for your maintenance services. And so that's one of the points that I would love to drive home. And I hope that each stylist that may be on listening, as you move forward and talk to your clients about their weave and wig services, that you mentioned the maintenance plan that you have come up with, that we've talked about. We've kind of given it to you tonight. You use that same maintenance plan format to let them know in advance that this is what you're expecting. You are a professional. Your job is to make sure that you maintain the hair on their head, not just the hair that you put on their head, right? So in order to do that, we need to make sure that we have the proper maintenance plan to maintain that hair underneath the weave or the wig, whatever it is that we have going on. I think this was a great topic, and I hope that we have helped a lot of our listeners, empowered them to go in and ask questions, whether it be their first weave or if you're a veteran weave, where these are some things, if you've never asked questions before, you now have a whole set of questions that you can walk in and ask if you're really interested. As a style, from the stylist perspective, you now have a bunch of questions that you have to answer for people. You have to now become an authority. No longer are we just throwing these wigs and weaves on people's heads. You are now empowered to be an authority and follow and give them the information that they need and provide them with the maintenance plans that are necessary for maintaining the wigs and weaves and hair additions, whatever additions that we're giving them. As we close out, I'd like to go around for final thoughts. Let's start with Shanae.
Absolutely. I think that it all tied in very well. It's not just a client from a client perspective, it's also from the professional's perspective. You know, the clients are willing to create that investment in themselves. Now they want to create that investment in a person or a stylist that's invested into their learning, invested into their business. So it's just uplifting the quality of our services that we provide. Excellent topic. And again, I do hope that people walked away with some nuggets, because they were definitely dropped tonight.
Yes. Marguerite.
I just want to thank everyone for listening. It was a great topic. It's a topic that it's a forever in topic, for real, for real. And I'm hoping that everyone that's listening here on tonight, and if you would share this information with your family and your friends, for those that, you know, going to YouTube and trying to do it their way, if you can just share that information share this information with your family and friends, so they can be able to come to us professionals to be able to get their professional needs taken care of. What a great topic, you guys. We are a team.
Love it, love it, love it.
Pam, do you have anything to add as final thoughts for you tonight?
Yes. I would just like to say, please continue to tune in every Tuesday. You would not have any topics that you would not get answers for. So just please tune in. And like Marguerite said, share. Text in for questions, call in for questions. This is what we're here for.
All right. And then on my own behalf, I would just like to say thank you to you all for participating in the topic. Thank you to those who taught me over the years, who have brought me to the place that I am and have given me all the knowledge that I have, which has really empowered me to have a successful business as it relates to hair extensions. And then also thank you to those who allow me to come and teach at your facilities and share the information that I have in regards to hair extensions and whatnot. So thank you again. I am Dr. Rashawn Broadnex here in the Washington, D.C. area, and I now turn it back over to Dr. Suzette Robinson for our proper closing.
Oh, this has been outstanding. And I learned something each week from each one of you all. And I know that those that have tuned in, professionals and consumers, I'm sure you learned something tonight because the topic was on point. We learned our do's and don'ts. We learned that we can ask questions. We even learned how to ask the questions, and I thought that was awesome. So I just want to say hats off to this wonderful panel. Let's Talk About It Tuesday could not exist if it wasn't for this team. So for that reason, we're grateful. And once again, I want to thank all those that have tuned in to hear us. Please tune in again next Tuesday on another Let's Talk About It Tuesday. I want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors, which is Isabella Graphics, Pretty Gloss Princess, let's see, Platinum Beauty Supply Store, and last but never least, Kingdom Dominion Worship Ministries, where Reverend Donnie Robinson is my pastor. And he also is the guy that puts all our information on in our chat. And if you want to know how to really connect with us or find us just to see what we're doing, please check us out, okay? He's put all the information, and I want to thank him for that. So with all that being said, we're going to say goodnight to you until we see each other again on next Tuesday. And my favorite saying is not bye-bye. I'm going to say live, okay? And you all be blessed. Have an awesome evening.
All right.
Good deal. Good deal, everybody. Good deal. Good girl. Just get off my screen. What is you doing?